Hi Cricut friends, Diane Bruder here, and today I'm going to show you how to make these really cool earrings in Design Space. Now they're basically a chunky earring and they're made out of wood, they're made out of basswood, and they're made out of cork material. And I'm going to show you how to make them out of those materials. I'm going to show you what settings you need, mats and everything. I want to take a minute though to show you the backs of the earrings. So this is what the back of this earring looks like. And I'm going to show you how you get this texture because it's really kind of cool. If you don't want to work in wood, you can use this material right here, this cork, and you can double it up and it makes a really cool earring too. So don't think that you can't make these earrings if you don't have a maker. You just can't cut the wood out. But there are substitute woods that you can use. Michael sells like this size top part of the earring. I believe Creatology is the brand, but I'm not sure if they sell it at the store because I've not seen it at the store, but it is available online. So I'm going to leave a list of things that you need, supply lists that you need to make these earrings below the video so you can go see what you need and where you can buy it. So that's really important to know. And let's just head to Design Space and have some fun. So today we're going to work in shapes again. Hit a circle. And what I want you to do is unlock the sizing tool, come up to width and make it 1.5. Hit enter or return. Then make it 2.5 tall. And that's basically the shape of the hoop earring. Now in order to make it a hoop, we're going to duplicate this shape. I'm going to change this color to white so I can see what this is going to look like inside. And then I'm going to just kind of make it smaller. One note when you're cutting your earring out and you want to decide how big this should be, look, 0.75 or 3/4 of an inch. You want to leave enough room on either side that you have a thick enough earring and you don't, when it cuts it out, it's not so thin on the sides that it cracks. So that's a little tip from me if you want the exact measurements of the earring inside that I cut out. And I'm going to center it, but I'm going to put it closer to the top. Now, whether you're working with foul leather, cork, or wood, we're not going to cut a hole in the top. It's awfully close to the top, and it's such a thin wood at 1/16 you're going to break it if you try to do that. So what we're going to do is we are going to leave this because we're going to be using not round jump rings, but we're going to be using oval. And so it gives you a little more interest to connect the two earring parts. So let's select this. Let's slice it. What we're going to do is remove both pieces and we're going to delete them. Now, I realize this is a two-part earring, but when you cut this out of wood, it's going to cut around, it's going to cut this big piece, and then it's going to cut this piece. This inner piece that's left of wood will become the top part of your earring. So we're not going to make a top part of the earring because it's kind of senseless to do that. Let's duplicate this. You can fit 2 pairs of earrings on a sheet. Remember, your wood is going to be 8 inches wide and 24 inches long. And I wouldn't try to push it past 7.5 inches. You don't want to be running off of your wood and cutting into your mat. Let's highlight all this and let's group it. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and duplicate it. Okay. You can probably fit 20 earrings, 20 to 24 earrings on a, depending on how big you make these, and you can make them your own size if you want, but you can fit between 20 and 24 of these hoop earrings on an 8-inch wide by 24-inch long piece of wood. So you can get quite a few earrings out of that. So now that we have this, I usually don't like to cut all mine at once because I get bored with the same shape. So select it all and attach it. Then, now that it's attached, you can go over to hit Make It. So let's do that. And it kept it the same on the mat. Let's hit Continue. Set Material. So browse all materials, select Wood, Enter or Return. And for this, we're going to choose Balsa 1/16, or basswood, excuse me, basswood. I don't like balsa wood. It just cracks. I've not had good luck with it. But basswood 1/16 works fine. I don't really like to go this thin because then you're getting into the cracking again. But 1/16 is good. Don't try to do basswood 3/32 because even though it's nice thick wood, one or two things is going to happen. You're either going to ruin your knife blade, or it's not going to cut through and you're going to have to use your regular Cricut knife blade to cut it out by hand, and that really stinks. All right, so let's hit Done. All right, you notice it tells you to move the star wheels all the way to the right. Make sure material is no wider than 11 inches. Material can be no wider than 8 inches because you're working with an 8-inch wide board. You're going to use a strong grip purple mat. And when it says masking tape on all 4 sides, it means all 4 sides. Don't just put it on the 4 corners all the way around. Yes, you're going to use a lot of tape, but you don't want that thing sliding and moving on you. Then you're going to use your knife blade and hit Load. It'll run a number of times. It'll tell you the whole process, how many times to cut through it. So babysit it and watch it. Don't walk away, or it might cut it out early and you'll have things moving around on your mat and you don't want that to happen. So, how do we go from this that we just cut out on our maker to this? I'm going to show you. And the first thing is it all starts with this. You need 220 grit sandpaper. And what I need you to do is I need you to take these and you need to not only sand the front and the back, but you need to sand all the way around. Because sometimes when you're cutting this material out of your Cricut Maker, it will create little things that stick up. I don't know if you can see that there. So you see that little blemish there? You need to sand that out. All right. Sometimes you will have problems where, and here's another example. See how that's sticking up? You need to sand it. Sand it smooth. What you'll find is if you take the time to sand this, you will get a much better surface, whether you choose to do acrylic paint on it or you choose to stain it. All right, and I'm not going to go through the whole staining process, but I will tell you, you're going to sand this, and then you're going to either stain it or paint it on the front, on the back, and all the way around. When sanding, don't forget to get the inside part of the circle as well as the outside. You can take wood glue and glue that piece back on, and if you don't find it, don't worry, because we can always put the cork on that side. Use some wood filler, whatever you would like to do. Also, when I show you how to do the texture, you're not going to really notice it if you sand it really smooth. When you are done sanding, make sure you wipe things down with a terry cloth, and then you can apply any kind of wood, wood stain that you'd like. I like to buy them in little quantities because it lasts a long time. You can apply it with a brush. It's important to sand this first because look how nice the grain takes when you sand it. The same thing if you are painting it. If you don't sand it first, the wood's going to come up because it's a very thin wood. Okay, so I would apply it with this, and then wipe it down with the rag. Another thing that I do is I wear gloves. These are examination gloves. I got them from Walmart. or Walgreens, excuse me, 52 pack. I have small hands, but they make them in medium and large too. This is very messy, okay? When you stain this, make sure you stain both sides. You stain the sides, and you stain the inside as well. That's really important, okay? Now at this point, if you like this look, you can use a varnish and you can finish it. I use this varnish, Minwax. You can be done with the stain here if this is what you choose to do, is to stain it and then put a varnish on it. Then you can move to putting your cork on. If not, I'm going to show you something really cool to do with this. All right, in a minute. For right now, I want to talk about another option. You may take, and this is just Americana. There's all kinds. Stay away from Craft Smart. You want something that's a nice quality paint that covers in one coat. This is still drying, so I'm trying not to get my fingers wet. But this, again, oops, see, I missed. You got to make sure you get all of it. So I'm going to have to go through and repaint this again. But make sure you get all of it inside and out. See, I missed some spots. I'll go back over that. And I'll show you, you can do the same thing here. Take some of this polyacrylic varnish and varnish it if you want. Or I'm going to show you how to get a textured look. Something that looks like this. Okay? And I'll show you what I use to do that. Okay, I'm going to show you how you get this kind of look on the back of your earrings. So let's take one that we've stained. Okay, and we're going to use Versamark water stamp pad, and we're going to get it all doused on the back of it. Then we're going to take this stuff here, Melt Art Mix, and it's called UT, or Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is just dump a bunch of this. Doesn't matter, you can dump a bunch of it out on a paper plate, something that'll bend so you can use it later. I'm going to take my Versamark ink. I'm going to take the back of this and I'm going to put it all over this Versamark ink pad and get it nice, and make sure you get that everywhere on there. I'm going to pull that off. I'll move this out of here. And then what I'm going to do is stick it in this embossing powder. Okay. Then I'm going to bring it over to a separate place on my counter. And I've got what's called a heat gun. We'll turn it on and watch what happens. See it? Starting to make that metal look. And you can make it however you want it. Okay, now I missed a little bit here, so I'll probably go back over it. But that's basically how you get that textured look on the back. If you like that, go ahead and try that. You can use that with the one that you painted or the one that you stained. I like the one that I stained because it just, I don't know, it looks good. But that is the stuff that you use for that. So don't worry about, being stingy. This you can always put back into this. Okay, so don't worry about how much you pour on there. Just be generous so that you can get a nice amount on the back. Now I want to take a moment to talk about the difference between ultra thick embossing enamel and embossing powder. First of all, this is gold, it's a color. Second, this is clear. So you would use this underneath something that's painted if you just want a sheen on it. If you want the bumpy metal hammered look, whether it's in black or gold or whatever, you would use the ultra thick embossing enamel. And let me show you what I mean by this. Okay, so here I am with a scrap piece of wood that I painted black, and I put the embossing powder on it, quite generously. I'm going to come back over to my heat gun. Now, it creates a shiny look. It's not quite as textured, but Let me show you the difference. This, I guess this creates somewhat, but you get a bigger, thicker with this. You can use any color you want to paint something and put it with a fine powder if you want. It just basically creates a shine on it. And of course, the longer that you take this, and the longer that you heat it, the more of that look you're going to get. So you can use an embossing powder, or you can use the UT. If you can't find this in the stores, the embossing powder will work. Okay. Now they make this in different colors as well, not just clear. So you can use either Melt Art by Ranger in an ultra thick enamel, or you can use an embossing powder. This, if you buy this in clear, you're going to get a sheen on it that looks like this. Okay. If you use this, you're going to get it in color. Now this was on the back of that one that I stained, okay? See, you notice I'll turn it over. Don't worry about that little, because we're going to cover that with cork. Something else you can do if you don't want to work with wood and you have an Explore Air 2, you can take this and you can just basically double it. Now look at the back of here. It is a material. I would use a fabric glue. You can try Gorilla spray glue, but it's not going to have the whole, even though it's Gorilla, it's not going to hold this together really well. But basically you're going to take this shape and put it on this one. I'm doing this one-handed, but you kind of get the idea. And then you'll take this shape, you'll put some glue on, take this one, and put it right on top. Okay? Then I'll talk to you about making a hole in this and using the jump rings to attach it to this. Remember, there's not going to be a hole in this. See how close we are to the top? Okay, so here's the glue that we're going to use to put our earrings together. It's called Aleene's All-Purpose Wood Glue. It's really strong. If you crack your wood, you can put the two pieces together with this and let it dry. You can sand it, you can stain it. It's a really nice solid thing, okay? Now I poured a little bit in here, and what I'm going to do is take a brush, get some in there. Then I'm going to take my wood piece and I'm going to brush this all over. So you're going to put this all over this side of your piece of wood. So basically I've taken my cork and I put a generous amount of Aleene's wood glue, this stuff on it, and then I put my cork on top. Now I like to take it and just kind of go like this all the way around to make sure all the sides are stuck really well to the glue. And if not, you can always take a really small brush and you can put a little more glue, brush it on the side, whatever. If you find you have some that's hanging over and it's too big, take your knife, you know, Cricut makes that little knife, and you can cut it. But usually it should fit just perfectly. Okay, sometimes they slide on you, might have to move them a little bit. That's basically how you put it together. Now you're going to do the same thing with the top piece and your piece of wood for that. Put the glue on here and put this on. And then I'll show you how to put them together, how to drill the hole and put them together. Another thing I like to do is take this and just kind of go with the glue all around the edges, so you can see what I'm doing here, all around the edges. It'll dry clear all around the edges just to make sure that you've got a good tack. Do it on the inside as well. And then let it dry. When I'm drilling a hole, I try to use something really small and pointy like this. This is used in my Dremel. I have hand drills because I do a lot of wood carving for gourds and things. Or you can use a really, really small, see how tiny and thin that is. Another thing you can do is you can get a hand drill, and this just goes up and down, and you can do it by hand. I got this from a place online called Little Windows, and I use it for drilling through resin, so I know it will drill through cork and wood combined. Now I want to say one more thing. These earrings will, because it is 1/16, have a little bit of a warp to them, which gives them a little roundness. That's okay. You can do that. If you don't like that, I would put them down flat and put something heavy on them overnight just to flatten them out. But I kind of like a little bit of a rounded look to them when you're wearing them anyway. So the next part we're going to do is we're going to be putting them together. Oh, let me show you how big the holes should be drilled. See? It's a very, very tiny hole. You can see it through the back too. Something just big enough to get a jump ring through. And we're going to work now with oval jump rings. Okay, we are going to be working with this size of jump ring. I don't know if you can see that or not. I already started opening one. This is what it looks like. Get it from a place called Hildy and Joe is the name of the brand, but I got it at Joann's. There are about 120 jump rings of various size. You want the oval. And they look like this. What you're going to do is take flat nose pliers. See how they're flat? And round nose pliers. You're going to hold the jump ring with the flat nose, and you're just going to take the round one and you're going to turn your wrist. Open it quite wide, because what you're going to do is you're going to thread it through this one. See how I did that? And then you're going to have to thread it through the other. Now, what you want to do when you're putting this on is you want to make sure that when you put this on, that the cork sides are facing together. If you don't do that when you connect it, the cork is going to be on the back side with this, and you don't want that. So take this over here, take this one here, start bringing them together. Turn it over. And bring that puppy together. If you need to a little bit with your fingers, you can. Okay. Once they're aligned, and I like to mess with them with my fingers just a little, just make sure they're all together all the way. You put the seam to the back. And there you have it. A little dangly earring. All right, now the next portion is to put the backings on, and I want to talk about backings because they don't all come in the same size, etc. I'm going to show you the proper size. Okay, I want to talk about putting the backing on the earrings, the post on, so that you can put it in your ear. And what I want to do is talk about post sizes. Well, this is really small. This is not the size you want. Okay, plus it's silver. You don't want it, you've used gold. This is the size you want. See the difference? Again, this is made by Hildy and Joe. You get it at Joann's. They come with a backing, the earring backing that looks something like this. You can see the back. It's got a kind of got a clear round thing. We're going to attach this with crazy glue. You can use Gorilla Glue. The gel works really well. One last thing, when you're gluing on the tops of your earrings, your posts, you want to put them fairly close to the top like I did. You don't want them in the middle because this is a long piece here and you want this to hang on the bottom of the earlobe. If you put it here, this is going to be like up in your ear. You don't want that. So you see how close I put them to the top? That's what you want to do. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. Whether you choose to use wood or cork or Cricut file leather, go out and have fun. Make your own designs, but have a lot of fun with it because that's what Cricut's all about, creating and having fun. Bye now.